All right. So we're going to be talking about the subject of introspection, which is all about reflecting, then acting, and then reflecting in life. So this is to help us better regulate what we think, what we say, what we do, so that we can stay loyal to our core priorities in life. Introspection can also help us keep up our momentum in life, and it can help us to practice living with greater self-awareness so that we can create a boost in insight, motivation, and even accountability. So it's all about bringing in a focus to quicken personal evolution, which can make a breakthrough in some of our self-limiting patterns. So the first question I would have to anybody is, are you introspecting? Like, do you watch everything in and around you as if it's happening to somebody else? And do you observe your mental and emotional processes so that you can get self-understanding and more insight on what needs to be changed? Because nobody can do this for you. It is a do it or undo it yourself project, right? So, and various people in human history have suggested that, Socrates even said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And Ignatius of Loyola, who this handout is based on, had an examines where he would draw 7 lines and he would have these moral checks. And anytime he did something that he didn't think was moral, he put a little dot for that day. And, you might notice that you have a lot more dots than you think, but it's very encouraging as you notice the improvements once you start paying attention. So are you introspecting? Dave, do you have any thoughts on this subject? I don't know if I can.
There we go. Yeah, I find that if we're spending a little bit more time each day doing these kinds of things and going through these kinds of questions, it really does make a change in the long term. So I see your point with sort of repetition there, because to make a change, you've got to do it regularly until it's sort of like flip on that switch in a dark room. You don't think about it.
Yeah, it's got to be kind of a regular habit, because a lot of people will tell themselves that they are introspecting because they can remember doing it once or twice. But certainly, that might be comparable to living life in the slow lane. If we're doing it every day, that's like living life in the fast lane. Patty, do you have any thoughts on this?
I think introspection is a deeper dive from reflection. Like when we reflect on our thoughts and feelings, that's one thing. But introspection is actually examining those. So you're cultivating through them. So there's value in it. I enjoy doing it, where it's just you sit and think about what you're thinking about and feel what you're feeling and examine those thoughts. So this is a great topic tonight. Thanks for bringing it.
Okay. All right. So Celine or Charmaine, if you have any thoughts, let me know. I'm not going to put people on the spot. You kind of nailed it there, Patty. It's like, think about what you're thinking about.
I think the unexamined life is not worth living is one of my favorite quotes. And it's something, I think it's something that comes to mind when I'm dealing with something challenging and it propels me towards growth. Because I think that that's the good part about going through challenges. You have the opportunity to actually make it better. And for me, reflection feels a little more passive, almost like I'm outwardly looking and just kind of passively thinking about something.
Yeah.
Whereas introspection is that deeper dive.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things I found with introspection is the only way to be effective at it is to first get your motivation to do it to be a 9 or 10 out of 10. You have to get your motivation up high to do it. Otherwise, there's no follow through. So we need to discuss what are the best possible outcomes of regular introspection, whereby nightly we might ask ourselves, we might just, and I'll explain how this might work. It might be that every day we ask ourselves what happened, and then we replay our day like a movie. And then we might say, what was good about today? What do I like about my life right now? Something that just kind of highlights progress, which can lead to fulfillment and motivate us. And then we might focus on our opportunities. Where could I have been better? Were my thoughts right? Were my moods right? Were my actions right? And then, what do I want to try in future? It can be that simple. just that, replaying our day like a movie. It's almost like if all of life is a stage, we're actually checking in on our performance and recalibrating before we go out there for the next scene, right? And then we just tick box every time we do something that we're trying to change. We just put a little dot for the day every time we do it, and we kind of compare dots across a sheet. So what would be the best possible outcomes of regular introspection? Who has any ideas on one of the most compelling things we could tell ourselves? Best possible outcomes of doing it, or worst possible outcomes if you don't do it? Because we really need to be convinced to do this.
I like missed opportunities. That's probably a driving for me, right? Without doing it, you might have way more missed opportunities.
Yep. FOMO.
Yeah, sure.
Miss out on.
I think of I love that FOMO on if you don't do it. I like an interest if you aren't consistent with introspection, it's like never taking out the trash in your house. It's just going to pile up and pile up and pile up. And you have layer upon layer of thoughts that turn into beliefs, that turn into maybe, limiting beliefs or emotions that now we're operating out of trauma rather than operating out of our truth. And so I liken it to, if you don't do the introspection, it's like not taking out your trash.
Yeah. And I would say it's kind of like a prisoner life. You commit to the wrong ways of thinking and behavior, and you become a prisoner of your own bad moods and bad habits. Right. So, or you could say it's like a donkey life. Some people act on instinct and just live like an animal. No matter how much they suffer the consequences of their thoughts and actions, they stubbornly go on nourishing their bad habits, and they quickly forget the painful results and never learn from their experiences. Right? Has anyone here ever met anyone like that? It's like, yep. Oh my gosh, now they're doing that again. Do you remember how bad it turned out last time? And maybe some of us remember doing that. At some points, we were living the donkey life, right? Or you could be like a puppet. You're just a puppet to your triggers and reactions, and you get jerked this way and that, unconsciously reacting to life circumstances, right?
So as far as that's concerned, I don't want something like that controlling me. I want to make conscious decisions about my actions. So for me, that's a big motivating factor, and kind of what I alluded to before as well. I feel like that pain and that suffering or that experience was wasted if I don't learn something from it. Something is always beneficial if I take the time to, look deeply at it, see what I can learn from it, and see how I can apply that. That's what makes the experience worthwhile for me.
Excellent. Yeah, very well said. Very well said. So if we pay attention, we can detect the things that are holding us back, interrupt it, and choose better ways of living, and become our better self, and train ourselves to behave with better self-discipline, and cast out all the thoughts that are betraying our happiness and replace them with better thoughts, and make a breakthrough in how we think and interact with the world. Like, this is the work that really matters, right? Like, we don't really talk about it much, but everything else is just a side effect of what's going on inside of us. So we should take that serious. And I think another thing is that it can be physically destructive, because you perpetuate the habits that create stress. So this can lead to high blood pressure, muscle tension, back pain. Another thing too is you can become a tool for evil without realizing it. You can blindly cooperate with evil forces and impulses in life, and perpetuate problems and pain for yourself and others, and just act like a hypnotized person out there, right? Doing wrong things under the influence of evil, because you're not trying to break yourself out of any spells that create suffering for you. So that's definitely like a lot of bad things there. And I think the good things are that, we can do this, and it's really up to us how fast we want to get out of the habits that bring on suffering, and embrace the habits that are going to bring us more joy and freedom in our life. So at this point, we'd want to consider, the best and worst possible outcomes. And, how motivated are you to do this on a scale of 1 to 10, to just ask yourself a few questions every night? And if it's not a 9 or a 10, we got a 10 from Patty. If it's not a 9 or a 10, we're not done step 1. Like, this has to be done. Better ideas have to be, because people will never follow through on this. if it's not a 9 or a 10. So it's like step one is to prime your motivation levels. Now, the next step is this. When you go through this process, you're going to want to reflect on your day, but then you're going to want some pick-me-up questions. Pick-me-up questions that are going to kind of ground you, center you, and keep your momentum going. So I have a bunch that I'll tell you, but first I want to put it out there. For example, Celine, if there was a question you could ask yourself to keep your momentum high, what do you think it would be?
I don't know. I have not done any of this introspection work. Maybe you can provide some examples first.
No problem. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. It's okay not to know. How about this? I'm going to give 7, and you just tell us which one you like best.
Okay, I like that.
Okay. No pressure ever. Okay. Other than the fact I just put you under pressure. Sorry about that. Anyway, here's one. What did I appreciate about today? Okay. Another one could be, what am I enjoying about my life? Right? Another one could be, what could I be excited about in my life right now? Right? Or what am I grateful about in my life right now? Another one could be, how am I getting better? Where did I progress? Or we could ask, where did I overcome a weakness? What bad habit did I curb today? Or we could ask ourselves, when did I help others in some way? So those are numbers 1 to 7. I'll read them again quickly. I want everyone just pick your favorite. Everyone just pick one of these 7, whatever one you want. You can pick 2 if you really want to. I wouldn't go with more than 2 because it can be a little bit hard to stick to it if there's too much to it. Number 1, what did I appreciate about today? Number 2, what am I enjoying about my life? Number 3, what could I be excited about in my life right now? Number 4, what am I grateful for about my life right now? Number 5, how am I getting better? Where did I progress? Number 6, how did I overcome a weakness? What bad habits did I curb today? And number 7, when did I help others in some way?
Now, these are all great questions. I mean, it's hard to choose one, but if I had to choose one today, it would be, what am I enjoying about my life?
Okay, great. Okay, so here's
because, it's all about like work. And, I stopped thinking about, well, what do I like? What do I enjoy doing? Why am I doing this? So that's a good question. What am I enjoying about my life?
I think that's a great question for you because enjoyment is a huge motivator and energizer.
Yeah,
So
it is.
Me, hey, Brendan, do you have one question that can help me keep my momentum high? I'd be like, yeah, ask yourself at the end of the day, what am I enjoying about my life?
Yeah.
Every single day, you're going to give yourself a boost.
Yeah. Like, did I do something enjoyable that day? Like, hopefully there's something good.
You can think through what you enjoyed about the day, what you enjoy about your life circumstances. You can be like, I enjoy living in this country out of the whole world. This is one of the best countries to live in, right? I say that to you. I know you live in a different country than me, but you live in one of the best countries. The USA is one of the best countries out there for sure, right? And, having a beautiful family and, being able to have the kind of job you have, like you could take it in whatever direction you want. That's the thing with it. Coots, any question in particular that resonated with you?
I like, it's funny as you read through them, I really tried to think of how that related to me. And I honestly think that those questions resonate for people based on how things are going. So just like how Celine mentioned there, I think that's kind of down my alley of what I'm thinking of. And for some reason, the one that hit with me was, I think you'd said, how am I improving today? I'm getting a little better. How am I getting better? I think is maybe one of the questions you said there. Yeah. I like that. The little notch, like, just keep on, just a little more, just a little more, just a little more. That always sort of resonates with me because otherwise it goes the other way. And then you realize it's been a while and you're 10 feet back.
Yeah, that's a great question to ask. How am I getting better? Because when you recall how you're getting better, it gives a huge boost in enthusiasm for taking on your challenges. And it helps with your self-confidence, your self-concept, your self-image. Like it's good fuel for your soul to just ask myself, how am I getting better? Where did I progress? Leads to gratitude, fulfillment, everything. You're feeding your soul with a question like that. Excellent. Charmaine, anyone in particular that stuck out for you?
I'm also growth oriented, so I'm always looking at how I'm improving or how I've grown or changed or made things better.
Excellent. And Patty?
I like the first question about what did I appreciate in today? I think to just stop and appreciate whatever it is, creation or a small act of kindness or something like that. So that resonated with me.
Great. Great. Love it. Okay, good. So those questions are questions that when you do an examines introspection process, we want to do those to give ourselves strength. Now, the next one we want to do is focus questions to keep our momentum and progress moving forward. Here's what we want to do. We want to see our opportunities to be better. We want to, evaluate our thoughts, feelings, motives, and actions from throughout the day. And we should also be really glad when you find a fault. Be really glad. You know why? It's been there the whole time, but now that you've recognized it, you can do something about it, right? So I kind of rank these in terms of beginner, intermediate, and advanced focus questions. So, and I kind of just give people a bunch and say, hey, what do you like most? But before we do that, is there any other questions somebody might add for pick-me-up questions? Anyone have any thoughts, suggestions, anything we could also say instead of the options I gave? That isn't by all means an exhaustive list. It's just what I've kind of thrown together.
I've been trying to do this daily journal questions of beginning of the day. You asked, today I leave a legacy by, and you sort of fill in what you're going to do today and how it leaves the legacy. And then at the end of the day, what was fantastic about today and tomorrow I work on. And that's sort of the recent change. Yeah.
That's very similar to what we're doing, actually. Very similar. Love it.
Okay.
And then one of them that I have is where did you do good today? And where did someone extend goodness to you? So did that. And then how did you gift others or yourself today?
Nice. I love those. I actually, I'm going to reflect on that one that you just mentioned. Where did someone extend goodness to me? I'm going to start reflecting on that one. I haven't reflected on that one yet directly, but I would love to unpack that because I know that the more that I pay attention to that, the more gratitude I'm going to live with.
And one of the things I love about that question, as I use as part of my introspection, is it's easy for me to see where I'm giving, but oftentimes I don't take the time to appreciate, I'm back to that, where goodness has been extended to me. And I love to be able to see humanity in the midst of that and connection in my life. So I that's one of my favorite introspection questions.
Excellent. Excellent. Love it. Okay. So we're going to go on to focus questions next. So this is to get us focused on our opportunities to be better. All right. So Celine, how about this? Love it. Celine, I'm going to give you 7.
Okay.
All you do is say what you like.
I'm going to type it in. Okay.
Number 1, how could I have used my time more wisely?
Okay.
Number 2, what could I be learning about in my life right now? I just threw them all into the chat, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Number 3, did I think or do anything that was not acting out of love? Number 4, were my actions appropriate? How can I improve? Number 5, am I really doing things the best way with my routines and habits? Number 6, did I pay attention to people's needs or concerns? And number 7, did I have the best intentions? So out of all those 7, what do you like? What resonates with you?
I like the number 5 one. Am I really doing things the best way with my routines and habits? I'm evaluating that all the time. It's the best use of my time. Like I'm pulled in so many different directions, and I have so much to do every single day. I feel exhausted that I can't get through it.
Excellent.
So I love that question.
Great
Am I
focus
doing
question.
things the best way with my routines and habits? And if there's any way that I can improve at all, I should definitely do it, or say no to. There's power in saying no as well.
Love it. Love it. So right now for you, we're kind of start off by, what am I enjoying about my life? Am I really doing things the best way with my routines and habits? So we're kind of structuring your examines process, right? And we're making it very customized for you. We want it to meet you where you're at this moment in life with the most relevant questions to your current life circumstances. You can always revisit this and craft a new examines for yourself at a later phase in life when you're facing different types of concerns and priorities. Excellent. Coots, what's your favorite of the beginner focus questions?
That's what I was staring at here. I think for me personally, for the rest of my life, I will be how could I have used my time more wisely? Just because I know I could be. And then, but more than likely, did I pay attention to people's needs? No. Did I have the best intentions? And I think that comes from working with ego a little bit there and like trying to analyze my intentions still, making sure, did I have the best intentions? Did I have the best intentions? That one kind of seems more prominent at the moment.
I love that you have the strength to even be able to say, hey, I'm going to pick this one up because that's going to help me with ego stuff, right? Because we can all be tempted to, have selfish intentions, right?
Yeah.
But checking ourselves is very responsible. So, and very heroic. Kudos to you.
Trying, man. I'm trying.
Hey, we're all trying.
I think that's what it is.
As long as you're in a bloody vehicle, we can always have a fall. So we need to stay sharp.
Absolutely.
Charmaine, how about yourself?
I think for me, the one that's two actually that are resonating a lot is, did I think or do anything that was not acting out of love? And were my actions appropriate, and how can I improve? And that comes from some of the boundary stuff we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have thoughts, but then I'm like, is this like me? Is it my judgment and what I think versus how other people act? And so I struggle with that.
Excellent. Love it. And that's one of my questions that I ask. Did I think or do anything that was not acting out of love? Because one of my values is, if you love greatly, you live greatly. So I'm trying to examine myself on that front regularly and be more loving all the time. So that one definitely resonates with me as well. Patty, how about yourself?
What could I be learning about in my life right now? I love this question because I'm well into my 50s, and as technology and other things begin to expand, it's important to continue to learn about everything that's happening, right? And new generations coming, and things are different, and online and apps and everything else. So for me, I'm always in a place of learning something new, and especially in that area. And I think it's easy as we age, it's easy to stay in what we know rather than learning and expanding and growing in new things. So that's a great introspection question for me.
Absolutely. It'll just keep us always growing and thriving. Does anyone have any introspection questions they would add to this repertoire for consideration?
Am I living true to myself?
That's a beautiful one.
Is one. And then the other one is that I use is health related. Am I taking care of myself physically?
Yeah.
And then I also say, am I taking care of myself emotionally, mentally, spiritually? But the one that I'm using right now is physically, because I had that hip, I fell and dislocated my femur and dislocated my hip. And so that I changed up my introspection when that happened, because it was a life change for me in these last 12 weeks. So physically, how am I, taking care of myself?
Excellent. I think we just had, Chris is bouncing in and out, trying to let him in here. I don't know where he is. He might come in. I don't know if his connection is good. but we will see. So anyway, I would encourage everyone to just pick one question from that list. One question. So right now, everybody should have 2 questions. Okay. Now we got another category. Celine, you ready? I'm going to run 7 by you. You just pick your fave. These ones are a little bit tougher.
Love it.
Okay. Number 1, how could I have been more helpful to others? Number 2, am I at peace with everyone and everything? If not, what attitude will create harmony? Number 3, is it possible I made any false assumptions today? How can I verify what is true? Number 4, was I grateful and receptive to any feedback I received? Number 5, have I been timely and responsive in my communications? Number 6, and while I'm at it, I will just throw my ego out there and say that I struggled with number 5. I wasn't good with responding in email and communications. It takes me a while to get back to people. I get distracted. So if anyone can relate to that one, that was one of my challenges. Number 6, did I control my impulses today? Did I consider what could go wrong and take preventative action? And number 7, am I talking to myself in a way that's helpful?
Okay, so what section is this now in the examines?
Intermediate.
Oh yeah, intermediate. I got you.
So just pick one of the bunch that you think resonates with you most at this moment in life.
I think, did I control my impulses today is one that pops up to me. I don't know. A lot of these don't really apply. But the one thing I could think is, for me, an impulse is just feeling stressed and wanting to escape and like just watch YouTube videos or something like that. Just to well, what's the word? It's to
Escapism.
Yeah. Just wasting time, or I'm just I need some downtime, and I'm just and I notice, oh, I'm really stressed then, if I'm like wandering off and not or making a ton of mistakes and just feeling exhausted and
Perfect.
And wanting to just escape and
Perfect.
not do what I want to do.
That's a daily challenge. Did I control my impulse today?
Yeah.
It's a battle between your disciplined mind and your undisciplined mind.
Yeah.
Paying attention to that battle. Excellent. Dave, anyone there that resonates with you?
Yeah, you just stole it. I said, did I control my impulses today? Did I consider what could go wrong and take preventative actions? Yeah, I try to again, that's sort of the keeping it in check and trying to see that what did I do? Why did I act that way? Or even just today, I had to do Houdini. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm like, I haven't felt like this in a while, and just had to write it out.
Nice. Charmaine, how about yourself?
I'm thinking for me, is it possible I made any false assumptions today, and how can I verify what's true?
Great. Oh, wow. That's such a mature one to tune into. Because how many people here make false assumptions? I mean,
Yeah, that was another one I was thinking ego-wise, because sort of like just, oh yeah, it's just this and this. And it's like, it's
but getting into the habit, I mean, a lot of times we form opinions without studying the facts and getting the facts straight. So that can create a lot of challenges, and we come to clumsy conclusions, and that can create a lot of disharmony in life. So that's a very profound question to ask, Charmaine.
I think in business too, a lot of times you have to make quick decisions. And I find whenever I've got a lot going on and I'm making a lot of decisions quickly, I start making snap decisions about everything. And so it's one of those things you can very easily train yourself to shoot out responses without thinking. So I have to really watch that one.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. And Patty, any of those resonate with you?
Am I talking to myself in a way that's helpful?
Yes.
I like that. Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's a really good one.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all, the list that you provided is all great, but that one for me resonates.
And that may resonate now. And then, you come back to this list in a year or two, and you might find another one is just jumping out at you. Like, pick me. I'm your curriculum in the school of hard knocks at this point in your life, you know? Okay, so we're going to go into the advanced questions. Now, I'm going to tell you this. A lot of the advanced ones may not make sense, okay? They may not make any sense. They may be so confusing, and that's okay. You just pass on those ones, okay? But some of them might be with where you're at, and that's fine too. You just kind of, all right, let me just see if I can get this going in here. Okay, so here's number one. You know, Celine, were my thoughts right? How would I feel if my thoughts were being recorded and played back for others to hear? You can see why this is the advanced category. How would I feel if my thoughts were recorded and played back for others to hear? Now, number two is, was I indulging in any unjustified or imaginary fears? A lot of anxiety and worry can often be imaginary, unjustified things that never happen, right? Number three is, did I use my imagination in any unwholesome ways? So maybe we imagine just somebody's giving us a hard time and we imagine them just spilling their coffee on themselves, or we imagine some sort of hardship or misfortune happening to them, and because we're mad at them, but that's not very wholesome for us to be indulging in those kinds of uses of our imagination, right? And this is advanced because you're not necessarily acting this out. It's going on in the inside. Step two would be you actually act this stuff out in some way. Number four was, did I see where the love and support of the universe showed up today? Okay, so you can use anything you want for the word universe. You can say creator, higher power, God, whatever you want, whatever word works best for you for what that is. Number five is, did I turn away from any invitations to grow in love? Okay. Number six is, did I take life too seriously? Now, I don't even know if I don't know if people will get this. Did I forget that it's a variety of dream movies to educate and entertain the soul with heroes, villains, good and bad, ever in flux? Did I take life too seriously? Patty's laughing. She's like, oh man, I can't believe you went there. Yeah, I did, I guess. Anyway. Number seven was I relating too much to my human identity instead of spiritual identity? Right? So I think it's that one quote where spiritual beings having a human experience, not the reverse. It was Pierre de something. I don't remember. I haven't heard the quote in a while. Anyway. Now, number eight is, did I think or do anything regrettable in my dream? Okay. If so, how might I overcome this tendency of my consciousness? Sometimes our thought choices and decisions in different scenarios based on our consciousness will play out in our dream experiences at night to reveal to us that we are capable of making some of these choices. So we got to be careful. And that way we don't have to live them out.
That last question cracks me up. I had a dream and it's recurring. I don't know why, but in my dream, I forgot some major thing in one of my deals, something like a closing, or just forgot something, some step. And then when I wake up, I'm like, oh, that sounds so real. Did that really happen? Which is this? It's so familiar. And it's just screaming at me like I missed something. But then when I evaluate and realize, like, no, I don't think I missed anything that old. But I mean, certainly there's something that's going to be missed. But yeah, that happens so much.
Yeah, and
be forgetful.
It could be that, you know, maybe we're showing that we have the capacity to not be totally 100% prepared and thorough with all the little things we need. Maybe it's showing that, because otherwise we'd be like, oh, that can't happen to me. I always make sure I get everything, right? So it might be just highlighting an opportunity for more prudence, potentially. Who knows, right? That could be one way we evaluate it. Another way we could evaluate it was, I know somebody who is having dreams of cheating on their spouse. And they had a number of these dreams, and they swore they would never do it, but then they ended up cheating on their spouse and the marriage fell apart. And it's like, well, if you paid attention to your tendencies in dreamland, to be unfaithful, maybe you could have been more careful, or maybe you could have dealt with that in advance rather than living through it, right? So, that's some of the different ways to interpret that. That one's very advanced, right? Because when you started analyzing your performance in Dreamland, that's
No, this bothered me so much that in my half sleep state, I wrote down what I thought I didn't do. And then when I woke up, I'm like, this makes no sense. What is this about? But in Dreamland, this is real, and it recurs all the time.
So it's just something to reflect on.
Yeah.
Something to reflect on. So out of those 8, is there anyone that you like most that you would want to ask yourself regularly, or any of them relate?
Oh, yeah. Did I take life too seriously? I think.
Okay, that's a good one.
That's a good one for me. And forgetting that it's a dream movie. I mean, I really do take life too seriously. I like the idea, just, take a step back. Like, if this were a movie, what would it be? And it would be a totally boring movie because nothing that exciting is happening with my life. But
so imagine this. Imagine every day you recap your day mentally. Maybe you hang up these questions somewhere where you brush your teeth or you see it daily. So you have to come before them. And then you ask yourself, what am I enjoying about my life right now? And then you ask yourself, did I, what was your other one? It was like, did I do things the best way with my routines and habits?
Yeah. Wow. Good memory.
Ask yourself, did I control my...
I remember.
And then you ask yourself, was I taking life too seriously?
Mm-hmm.
And you might finish with, what do I want to try tomorrow?
Yeah.
And I would just say the kind of final question would be, what do I want to try tomorrow? Because it takes pressure off. The presumption is not that we're going to succeed in anything. We're just going to try something tomorrow. We just, at least we think about how we're going to live our life the next day. So if you were to do that every single day for the next 6 months, what do you think are the best possible outcomes?
I would have a very exciting life.
You wouldn't?
I would. I think I would. I might not. I might have a book to write about, about how I did amazing things and not just do things because I need to, but really push myself to do something amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that could be your success formula that you could share with others, and you could make that a gig for yourself, right? Like, here's my ingredients. These were the questions I used. Here's where I went from point A to point B, and here's how I did it. Right? There'll be other people like you that just feel like, I don't have time for myself. What's going on here? Right? So.
Oh, I need to take time for myself. That's the thing is.
Yeah, but when you ask yourself, am I taking life too seriously? You might be like, yeah, I did. What am I going to do tomorrow? I'm going to go for a nature walk and feed some ducks or something, because taking life too serious. Time to go visit some ducks or whatever. Yeah. Right?
Quack, quack,
yeah.
quack.
But their sounds are definitely comical, part of the comedy of the earth plane, right? So
yeah, I mean, your life is amazing. Like when you go into nature and all these animals come to you, it's like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs or something, all these animals come to you. That's really exciting.
But I'm just showing what you're capable of doing when you don't take life too seriously.
Yeah.
And make time to enjoy some of the adventures that are available to us all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's part of the flavor of life. So that is a magic that is in you waiting to be discovered. So, yeah. And I can't wait to hear all about it when you stop taking life too seriously and remember it's just a dream movie. Okay. To educate and entertain our soul.
I like that. I'm gonna live life as though I am in a movie and I can make it what it is, and it doesn't have to be all just doing checklists, boring, geeky, nerdy stuff all day long.
And that concept is inspired by Yogananda. He was the one that said it, and it really stuck with me. He's like, treat it like a movie. And I was like, that's
I
kind of
like it.
like that. I like that idea, you know? So, all right, Coots, what about
Thank
your,
you.
yeah.
For this one, for the questions here, well, you should know, looking at that one. Give you 2 seconds to guess it.
Number 7?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the meat skeleton problem. I suffer from meat skeletonitis, which is learned.
It's called spiritual amnesia, Coots. It's okay. We still love you, buddy.
Spiritual amnesia. I was never really, wasn't really raised with any kind of a religion of sorts and stuff like that. And so spirituality is something I've sort of dabbled more in because of Fox. So looking at that one is something that I know I still ask myself. Was I relating too much to my human identity instead of my spiritual identity? So being connected to more than just myself, and knowing there's more afterwards and those kinds of things are still things I'm warming up to.
Okay, I'm going to be putting out a big YouTube video with the animals that will help people get over spiritual amnesia. It's called a game of divine hide and seek, the knowing. So I've been filming for it for a number of months. I just haven't had the time to edit it. So
all right, I like it.
That over to you when it's ready, because the perspectives in it will be very tangible and real to you. I'm going to ask you to just not do anything by blind belief, but just do some experiments through your own experience what's actually true. And it will help you to have a healthy detachment to the physical reality. But anyway.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, excellent. Charmaine, how about yourself?
I'm back to life, taking life too seriously.
Oh, wow.
I definitely get in that mode, but I do think the whole point of life is finding the joy in it. So while I tend to get stuck sometimes and being very literal, I don't feel like I'm really living life unless I look for the joy and try to make that what my life is about.
Great. And I really like that you're just picking an answer that seems true to you, because that's what this is. We're all at different stages in our journey. So we want to pick the questions that work best for all of us. Right. So, and Patty, how about yourself?
I think for me, based upon this list, was I indulging in any unjustified or imaginary fears? I think it's a good reflection to see where we are in where our fear is holding us back. And then being able to acknowledge that and give it permission to be released so that we can operate out of our truth and our faith rather than our fear.
Love it. So at this point, what we'll want to do is pick our battles. So decide what tendencies you want to develop or discard. How might you best focus on that? We've kind of discussed these questions, right? I don't like to go with too many questions, like maybe just like 4 or 5, because then you're dividing your focus, and it's best to just deal with one thing at a time. And then just kind of like regularly look at it. Now I'm going to show everybody an example here of some different ways to do this. Coots, you're getting an advanced preview of a handout I'm using this weekend's course.
All right. I knew there's some juice before it.
Yes. You're going to be the first one to see it, man.
I'll just take a nap when you teach this.
I'm
just kidding. I'll be helping it 100%. I'll be able to.
Here's some different examples of versions of this handout I put together. So you can see, like, here's a version that you could just like hang up. It's kind of like, what happened today? What did I like about today? Where could I be better? Were my thoughts right? Were my moods right? Were my actions right? How might I do better in future? And then you just box things, okay? Just tick box it in there. This is a different version. It's called the to-be list, because our character is our choice. We can pay attention and reshape our character, and our character becomes our destiny. So this is very important work. You know, it's like, who am I being out there? You know, who am I being out there? Is my thinking right? Is my health right? Is my work right? Who am I here to be? You know, do I really want to be somebody who's chasing after this or that in life? Or do I want to be somebody who's showing these values? Maybe I'm being somebody who's like highly competitive with everybody else in work performance, and instead I should be trying to outcompete them and showing love and respect to other humans. You know, what it all relates to whatever your highest purpose is. What should I try next? And who can help if I get stuck? Right? So those could be good general ones. This one, the round table, is kind of like, this would be like imagining you have like 5 people that you come before every day, like an imaginary mastermind. And you just kind of like recap your day to your imaginary mastermind, and you can pick your 5. You could imagine somebody like a Winston Churchill, Albert Einstein. You can imagine a motivator like Tony Robbins or Oprah Winfrey, or, a business strategist like Gary Vee, or a coach who knows how to win like Bill Belichick, or maybe like a mental toughness guy like David Goggins, or maybe like a philosopher like Marcus Aurelius or Confucius or Plato, or a spiritual leader like Buddha or Jesus or Yogananda. Like, you can just pick those 5 and imagine coming before them every day and what would be their helpful advice to you. Like if you had to pick an imaginary counsel, this is another way to do it. Does anyone have thoughts on this method here? Picking an imaginary counsel?
Yeah, I have a guided meditation that I do with a group about meeting with counsel.
Nice.
And just walking through that guided meditation. It's pretty powerful for people, I think, because you're actually sitting in front of them. Then you're it's almost as if you're asking and receiving at the same time. And also you're in a place where you're gaining knowledge that you find is even in that you didn't know from a subconscious level that's in yourself. There's a lot that happens there, but that's next level. That's for sure.
Yeah, what you're doing, you might even say on a metaphysical level, you're tuning into the consciousness station of an individual. Just
That's
because
right.
of what station you tune into. You don't necessarily want to tune into somebody that's overcome with avarice and greed, and maybe they're a financial success, but they don't have principles and morals that'll help you live the life you want to have, right? So you want to be selective on what you think might work best for you before you decide to kind of put yourself in attunement. And I found that when I did this, I would get ideas that did not sound like they came from me, right?
Exactly.
And I did one of my posts on YouTube was like, animals are just like us. And I was just doing like an invisible counsel. And like, for me, that just felt like Francis of Assisi just gave me that one.
Yeah.
Like it just literally, I wrote it in one shot, done. Like I didn't even really think about it. And then I just posted it. And it's been one of the better performing videos, but I cannot take credit for that thing, like, because I don't feel like in a linear way, I can determine how I was ever the source of the messaging. I'm like, it just came through me. That's not from me. But anyway, I also think that the highest good I can hope for myself is to be an empty channel to let a higher good come through rather than trying to, but anyway, that's my thoughts on things. Coots, do you have any thoughts on the,
Yeah, no, I really liked it. I had a few there. First thing that came to mind is like I'd want a visual. As soon as I pick the person, got to stare Sean Connery in the face when I'm talking to him or writing things down or whatever, whoever it is, right? You'd be on there. You should get little shirts that say, "What would Fox do?" But just have your Fox symbol, right? And like this, I ask myself that all the time, like if it's selfish or it's something that you've been teaching, like what would Fox? Well, this is a Fox approach to things. So I find that kind of helpful to find those people that you would try to think through. How would they think of things? But and the question was, if you had a client that you did this with and they did happen to put all the seedy characters that are not giving them good messages, how do you like influence them more so to be like, well, let's talk maybe about someone more positive and such?
I would get them to do a priorities revolution. I would say, let's sit down and talk about what your truest, highest priorities are in life. Okay. Is money making really going to give you what you ultimately want it to, which is the feelings inside of being worthy and being loved? Or is there a better way to get what you want? I would actually dial it back to the fact that they might have maybe a confused version of getting what they really want out of life. And I might give them some guidance on that. I mean, the other thing is they might just have to live through it.
Yeah. So I was thinking with you.
It up, and they can be disillusioned by that process. They can come to realize like, hey, I did the whole capitalism thing and it made me miserable and ran me ragged. So now I want to live my life differently. You can just encourage them to, just pay close attention to the results you're getting. right? Sometimes people have to live through hard experience and sometimes they can be reasoned with. There's a couple of things, like I always ask myself, like, if you're trying to help them, do they respect you? Yes or no? If they don't respect you, I don't bother, right? Am I really helping them? And are they really helping me? If this is a client, chances are yes, yes, yes. Like,
Yeah.
So I think you'll do really well in just saying, hey, I used to think like this. And then I realized that if I really start to think like very like too money focused, I might end up like Donald Trump or something, or, like.
But what if he's on their list? That's what I'm trying to say. And all the other characters that were like, sorry, this is on your high table of top 5, right?
Yeah. So I would just use it, I would just encourage them to think a little, give it a good think through. And if they still want to go with it, then you just have to learn through experience, right?
I really like it though, because I think we all do it subconsciously, like thinking of how someone we like or want to be like or emanate or learn more from. We try to think like them sometimes to sit in their shoes.
Yeah, totally. Excellent. Charmaine, any thoughts on this one?
Sorry, having trouble getting unmuted. I do think it's important because I think when I consider what other people would think or how they would view my thoughts or my actions, that can be a big influencer for me. I think it's a way that you can step outside yourself without actually having to have another person there to give you their feedback.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. How other people view our thoughts and actions can be a big influencer that helps us step outside our self-limitations.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Nailed it. And Celine, how about yourself?
About in this whole exercise in general.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I think I will use it for sure. I think I think it'll be helpful. We'll see how it goes.
Excellent. Okay, let's all just give it an experiment, see how it goes. We can all circle back on it. But the main idea with the examines is it is a process. It's timeless and classic. It has been recommended by a lot of people in human history that I respect a lot. One of the main people that talked about it, I said, was Ignatius of Loyola. Okay, he's known as like being the saint of willpower. And he was doing this, and he was coaching this, and it made people very disciplined and helped them get themselves together in life. And other people throughout history have used this kind of process, and many people have been influenced by him. So, but I think we can all benefit from just paying more attention to the results we're getting in life and just considering new possibilities and perspectives for what we want to do moving forward. All right, that should wrap us up for today. Any final thoughts, key takeaways for today? Cootsie.
I really like the deep dive. I think one of my favorite things about it was that it follows for everybody, and how when I read the 7 questions, I'm like, I think Charmaine's going to pick that one. Celine might pick that one. That looks like a Patty question. And it's like, sort of like you said, and like, it's just sort of based on where people are or what works for them. And I think because of that, it's just, this is something you can check in regularly. It could be 6 months or every year, because these things will change. Like, I have a feeling that some of these questions might be more prevalent later for me, or different, definitely, because hopefully by paying attention to them, they'll change and I'll change. And then other crap comes up. So, and then you got to focus on those things, right? So.
Absolutely. Introspection is a constantly evolving process to revisit time and time again. Charmaine.
I think it's good to just kind of go through these ideas and how you want to challenge yourself. And that only comes with focus. So I think having the list of questions certainly gives us a routine way that we can go through and continue to refine and analyze who we are and where we're at in the growth that we're wanting to do. And it goes back to what you said originally, the unexamined life is not worth living. And that phrase pops up for me a lot in my head whenever things happen. But I think having a good way to set up that examination is critical.
Yeah, having an intentional process or procedure for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Celine, any final thoughts, key takeaways?
Yeah, it's wonderful hearing everybody's experience with introspection. I haven't really done that on a regular basis, so I'll give it a try. I am very inspired by what everybody said.
And if you haven't done it, that's even more exciting because it means you have the greatest opportunity to benefit from introspection. And I know that when I started doing it from when I didn't do it, the greatest jump and noticeable difference and fulfillment.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll find it really it takes you up a level in life. So
Can't wait.
We're excited for you. And Patty.
I love the introspection process, and it's always evolving as we evolve as people. I think 3 or 4 questions is easy to do in the evening. I think it's best to do it in the evening, but I also think it's good to sit down with a journal and just kind of take an hour, on just some quiet time every once in a while to deep dive. There's knowledge, there's accountability, there's personal growth built into taking this time to examine ourselves on a deeper level. I love it.
Nice. Chris, are you there? Chris has been kind of like in.
Yes.
Oh,
I knew I tuned in late, so I didn't want to interrupt anybody's flow.
no problem. I know I was letting you in, and I know you were dropping out a number of times. I tried to do my best, but it felt like we might have had a bad connection or something. But anyway, glad you joined us. Any final thoughts, key takeaways?
I like the system because of how flexible and evolving it is. It's not static. So as like with having your council of 5 people, the people on the council can change, it can evolve. And like Koots was talking about, different questions can become a higher priority throughout the year. So it's not just one stop, it can evolve, the tool can evolve with you. So it has much more facets to it than just being one straight question or quiz, and that's it. So I think that's what's really wonderful about this tool, is it can work with you as you evolve and you stay with.
Love it. All right. Awesome work out there today, all of you. Showing up, having a great conversation on, how to live with greater ease.
What about you? You've taught this evening. You've led our discussion. You've facilitated it. What's your takeaway?
One of the things was just the deep joy I felt in feeling like I helped people in some way. Like when all of you picked a question you liked and it added value, I felt a joy every time, because I was just like, okay, I care about all of you, and I'm glad that something I'm doing is helping you out in some way. And it's kind of like when you watch a movie and you really like it, you want to recommend it to people. Right? It's like, oh, I watched the Back to the Future trilogy. I love it. I think you should watch it. In the same way, like sometimes we want to share the things we enjoy in our life so that others can enjoy it as well. So it was an honor and pleasure for me to do that tonight. I also took away a couple of questions that Patty, you had said that the way that you worded it was really good, and I wrote them down. I want to think about them as well. So I got a few questions in there as well. So, all right, let's do this. On the count of 3, we're going to do go team. We're going to fist bump, group hug. We're out. Next week, we got Celine on. Week after that, Coots. Week after that, Charmaine. We're off for 2 weeks. Then Patty and myself will be kicking it off in the new year. All right, everybody ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go team!
Go team!
I love you guys so much. Thank you for being in my life. You add value into all of those watching. We love you too.
Thanks, guys.